So I'm now going to go through some answers from your last student practice. However, I am only going to do one example from each group. So group A, you had to pick one. Group B, you had to pick, I believe it was 3. I'm only going to do one from group A and one from group B to keep this video short. However, still watching mine, even if it's not the same question you worked on, will be helpful. And if you are still feeling stuck, that is your time to go join me on Google Meets, and I'll go through your specific question using the online whiteboard. So we have x squared plus 9x. My b value here is my 9x, or my 9. And my c value, I don't have an added third value here, a constant with no variable. So that means my c value is actually 0. So my c value is 0. So I need to list all my pairs of factors for 0. This is always interesting when we have a value 0 because the pairs of factors are 0 and literally any other number works. So I put 0 and then I'm just going to write ... to kind of show that it could be any other number as well. But 0 is the key here. So I know that one of my factors is going to be x plus 0 for this quadratic. So I do need a pair that adds up to b. So again, one of the numbers has to be 0. So what plus 0 is going to equal 9? It has to be 9. So one of my values is 0. The other has to be 9. So 0 plus 9 does equal 9. And 0 times 9 does equal 0. And that's my criteria, right? A and b need to add up to b, and a times b need to multiply to be c. So far that works out. So I'm going to fill in my factored form here. I have x plus 0. I'm just writing in those values, and x plus 9. And my last step, and very necessary step, is to always check your work. So we're going to use distributive property to multiply out x plus 0 and x plus 9 and see if it matches my original equation, if this factored form here is in fact correct. So let's go ahead and multiply. X times x is x squared. X times 9 is positive 9x, 0 times x is just 0, and 0 times 9 is also just 0. So that leaves me with x squared plus 9x. Does this match x squared plus 9x? Yes, I did add this 0 here, but again, that's equivalent because adding 0 keeps it the same. So what that shows me is my factored form here that I found is correct, and this is my answer, writing this in factored form. Now, moving over to this next one here, I have x squared minus 10x plus 9. My b value here is negative 10, cannot forget the negative, and my c value here is 9. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to need to get ready to pull my factor sheet up. My computer fell asleep. So what I need to get ready to do here is I need to list all the pairs of factors that add up to my b value. Oops, I forgot a step. We need to list our factors for c. Okay, so we're listing out the factors for c value 9. So I'm going to look at 9. I have 1 and 9, and I have 3 and 3. So something to keep in mind here is I have a positive c value. So that means that I either need 2 positive factors or 2 negative factors. A positive times a positive is positive, and a negative times a negative is also positive. My b value here, showing that I have a negative, indicates that I need at least one factor that's negative, and so in this case, both pairs, or both factors in the pair do need to be negative. So what I can do now is, looking at these factors, both need to be negative, and we're going to see having both values in each pair be negative, which one works to add up to b, add up to negative 10. Does negative 9 plus negative 1 add up to negative 10? It does seem like it. And again, you guys can be using your calculators to verify this. And is negative 3 plus negative 3 negative 10? No, it is not. So this is my pair of factors that adds up to b. So I have 1a is negative 1. I have my other factor, b, is negative 9. So I'm simply going to fill in my factored form with those values. So I have x plus a negative 1, and I have x plus a negative 9. And we're going to go ahead and first I'm going to write that a little nicer. I don't like having the plus negative, but whenever we have plus negative, it's the same thing as x minus. So this is just like x minus 1 and x minus 9. So now we're going to go ahead and check our work. Is x minus 1 times x minus 9. Well, if I expand that, will this give me my original? That's what we're going to check. So x times x is x squared, x times negative 9 is negative 9x, negative 1 times x is negative 1x, and negative 1 times negative 9 is positive 9. So simplifying, combining like terms, we have x squared minus 10x plus 9. That does match my original, so that means that my factored form here is correct. This is my final answer, putting this in factored form. And again, quick reminder here, whenever we have a constant c that is positive, you know that both of your factors are either going to be positive or both are going to be negative. And if you have a b term that's negative, that's your indication that they both must be negative. So I assign negatives to each factor in each pair, see which one added to b, and that's how I determined my answers. So go ahead and check your work. If yours is wrong, but this isn't the question you did, I want you to try it again on your own, watching this video, using those steps and the tricks that I shared. And if it's still confusing for you, please join me in Google Meets and I'll go over your direct question.